In the moments after Jesus cast out what the Gospels called demons from the man in the Gadarene tombs, something happened that no biblical scholar can explain using conventional theology. The entity's a collective hive mind, calling itself Legion, did not simply leave. They begged. They pleaded. They bargained. They asked permission to enter a herd of pigs rather than face what Jesus was about to do to them. Why? Why would powerful spiritual entities be terrified of a single man? The canonical texts say Jesus granted their request out of mercy, but the Gnostic manuscripts, the forbidden codices that survived the church burnings and were buried in the Egyptian sands, reveal a terrifyingly different truth. Legion wasn't afraid of being sent to hell. They were afraid of being seen. In that moment, Jesus spoke a 6-letter command, one word in Aramaic that carries a frequency so devastating to archonic entities that it strips away their disguises and forces them to appear in their true form. When he spoke this word, the beings possessing the man became visible not just to spiritual sight, but to physical eyes. The disciples saw them. The man saw them. The villagers saw them. And for the first time, everyone present understood the horrifying reality. The forces controlling human behavior, inserting thoughts, manipulating emotions, feeding on fear. These were not metaphors. They were not abstract religious concepts. They were actual biological entities, and they could be seen. For 2,000 years, the Church has hidden this command. They removed it from every translation. They encoded it in Greek letters to obscure the original Aramaic pronunciation. They declared that only ordained clergy should attempt to confront demonic forces, conveniently making sure common believers never learned the actual words that give them power over the beings that feed on them. But the command survived. It was whispered through secret lineages, preserved by the Cathars, and the desert mystics, who understood that the Archons' greatest weapon is invisibility, and the greatest threat to their system is a human who can force them to show themselves. If you have ever felt a sudden shift in a room's energy when certain people enter, if you have ever experienced thoughts that feel invasive, violent, or foreign appearing in your mind without warning, if you have ever sensed a presence near you that you could not see but absolutely knew was there, then you have already detected archonic activity. You are already sensing what most people remain completely blind to their entire lives. Tonight, you are going to learn the 6-letter command that Jesus used. You are going to understand why it works, and you are going to use it tonight to see exactly what has been attached to your energy field. Are you ready to see the invisible? To understand why one word holds this power, you need to understand what the Archons actually are and how they maintain control over human consciousness. We must strip away the religious mythology. The ancient Gnostic texts describe them not as demons with horns and pitchforks, but as rulers archons of the material realm. They are interdimensional entities existing in frequency bands just beyond physical perception. Like a radio station, your eyes are UN-tuned to receive. They do not have dense bodies like humans. They are composed of thought patterns, emotional energy, and will. And they have a biological imperative. They must eat, but they cannot eat physical food. They feed on lucha, term repopularized by modern researchers, but described by the ancients as the dew of the spirit. It is the energy generated by intense human emotion, fear, rage, despair, shame, confusion, lust. These emotional states produce energetic signatures that Archons can harvest and consume. This is not metaphor. This is thermodynamics. Without human emotional output, they would starve and dissolve. So their entire operation depends on keeping humans in constant states of emotional reactivity. They achieve this primarily through thought insertion. The voice in your head that criticizes you relentlessly. That is often not your voice. The sudden impulse to rage or despair that seems to come from nowhere. That is frequently not your emotion. The mental loops that play the same negative scenarios over and over. Those are installed programs running on archonic frequency. Most humans never realize these thoughts are not their own. They identify completely with the parasite. They say, "I am sad," instead of "I am perceiving sadness." This identification is exactly what the Archons require. As long as you believe you are the thinker, you will not fight back. But the moment you recognize that thoughts can be inserted from outside sources, everything changes. You start monitoring your thoughts differently. You start questioning suspicious patterns. And most dangerous to the Archons, you start looking for them. The Archons maintain power through invisibility. They operate in the blind spots of consciousness. As long as they remain unseen, they can continue their manipulation without resistance. But they have one fatal weakness. They are beings of deception, not power. They rely on the shadow, and they cannot refuse a direct command spoken in the true name of source authority. The sixth-letter command, Elohim. The sixth-letter command is Elohim. Now, pause. You have heard this word before. You think you know what it means? You have heard it in church songs, or read it in Genesis, but you have never used it as a weapon. You have been taught that Elohim is just a name for God. But the Gnostics knew the etymological secret. In Hebrew, Elohim is grammatically plural. It does not mean God. It means gods or divine powers. But in the Gnostic context, it refers to the emanations of the monada, aspects of source consciousness that exist beyond the material realm of the demiurge. When you speak this word as a command, not as a prayer, but as a decree, you are invoking the authority of the high God against the rulers of the low world. You are not calling on an external being to help you. You are declaring that the divine power within you, the spark, demands the Archons to show themselves. The vibration of Elohim, when spoken with the intent of revelation, creates a frequency pulse. Think of it like a sonic flash. It disrupts the cloaking technology of the Archon. Jesus understood this. He taught the pneumatic spirit carriers that the Archons operate in the shadows. To defeat them, you must first expose them. When you speak Elohim with a specific intention, reveal what is hidden, the entities lose their camouflage for a brief window, usually 10 to 30 seconds. They become perceptible. How you perceive them depends on your level of spiritual sight clairvoyance. Some see shadows or distortions in the air like heat rising from pavement. Others see geometric patterns or vague forms that seem to absorb light, blacker than black. Those with fully open spiritual vision see them in detail, insectoid or reptilian features, elongated forms, empty eyes. But you do not need perfect sight for the command to work. Even people with no prior experience report a sudden, undeniable sense of presence. The feeling of being watched turns into the feeling of seeing the watcher. It is the feeling of the prey suddenly turning around and locking eyes with the predator. Why was this banned? Because the church declared that Elohim was a title reserved for their specific version of God. They forbade the common use of it as a magical or protective command. They wanted you to pray to them, the priests, to handle the spirits. By suppressing the active use of Elohim, they disarmed the population. They left you blind in a room full of monsters. Tonight, you are going to run the diagnostic. You are going to see what is sharing your space. You are going to see what has been feeding on your anxiety, your depression, and your arguments. Here is the protocol. Step 1. Preparation. Choose a time when you are alone. Night is preferable. Between midnight and 4 a.m. is when the veil is thinnest, but any time works. Stand into the room where you feel the most heavy or uncomfortable. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow breaths. Connect to the spark in your chest. Feel your own authority. Do not do this from a place of fear. Do this from a place of sovereignty. Step 2. The command. Open your eyes. Speak the word out loud, not a whisper. A command. Elohim. Reveal what is hidden. Say it with the force of a judge passing a sentence. Let the sound vibrate in your throat and fill the room. Elohim. Step 3. Observation. Scan the room. Don't look at objects. Look between them. Look at the corners. Look at the shadows. Pay attention to sudden density or cold spots, movements in your peripheral vision, distortions in the air like static, a sudden spike in anxiety or fear. This is the entity reacting to being exposed. It is projecting fear at you to make you stop. Step 4. The eviction. If you see or sense something, do not be afraid. You have the upper hand. An Archon that is seen is an Archon that is powerless. Speak directly to it. I see you. You have nitrogen monoxide authority here, Leave. This is not a negotiation. It is an eviction notice. You are informing the entity that its cover is blown. It cannot manipulate you if you are looking right at it. Repeat the command until the heaviness lifts. Most archonic entities will attempt to resist by making you doubt. They will insert thoughts like, "This is just my imagination," or "I'm crazy," or "Nothing is happening." Recognize these thoughts as their last defense. They are trying to gaslight you back into blindness. Do not engage with the thoughts. Simply repeat the command. I see you. Leave. Why tonight? Because the spark inside you is awake right now. You are reading this because you are ready. If you wait until tomorrow, the Archons will have time to reset the programming. They will make you forget this video. They will make you think it was just interesting content. You must act while the recognition is fresh. Once the entity leaves, you will feel a shift, a lightness, a clarity. The static in your head will go quiet. But you must finish the process. You must seal the space. Place your hand over your heart and say, "I am sealed by monad light." Nitrogen monoxide Archon may enter. This prevents immediate reattack. The church banned this command because they could not control a population that could see the invisible. If you could see the Archons, you would see them hanging from the rafters of the churches, feeding on the guilt and fear of the congregation. You would see them in the halls of government. You would see them on the television screens. You would become ungovernable. And that is exactly what the Gnostics wanted. A world of sovereigns. You are ready. The spark knows the word. Use it tonight. If you speak the command and see the shadows move, if you feel the pressure drop, come back here and verify it. Comment below. I see them. Let the other chosen ones know that the veil is lifting. Let them know they are not crazy. The Archons rely on your blindness. Open your eyes. Speak the word. Elohim.